Welcome back to First Year Presidents, the show for new presidents and maybe decision makers who want to be presidents and get a look in the crystal ball to find out what's going to happen, what kinds of challenges and suffering and good things that could happen that you could emulate or try and avoid. Today's conversation on First Year Presidents is brought to you by Internal Business Intelligence, the secret weapon from Cold Star Technologies for new presidents who want to increase the size of the year-end bonus and the overall performance of their business. If you are looking at a whole bunch of different software and you don't have a common dashboard for a single source of truth for decision making in your business, you need the help. You need to talk to us about IBI. My guest today is Brett Linnenkohl of Evergreen Strategic Systems. Thanks for being here, Brett.
Yeah, Jason, thanks so much for having me, man.
Sure.
This is I just got to say, this is a special one for me. We've known each other a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
look, man, like your ability to just take swaths of information and turn it into hard-hitting insights, especially on the sales side, has just, yeah, man, it's made an impact on me just as long as I've known you. And I really
Mm.
look up to you for that. So it's really an honor.
Well, thank
To
you.
be on. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, let's have the spotlight on you today. So you run a business that goes around mapping business processes for other companies. Is that right?
Yeah, so basically what I'm really good at, for some reason, I was born with this skill of getting the context of a situation where there's a problem and then asking questions. It just like comes to my head. I can't
Mhm.
explain it, but I just know what to ask to dig to the deeper layers. And one of the tools that is most effective in visualizing what I'm able to find and discover to find those problems, it's the visual process map.
Okay. Let's describe that because I took this in operations management 1994 to 1996 for one of my technical diplomas, right? And so I walked into the internet marketing field, right, knowing all about it. And then they sort of discovered this stuff around 2013. They started talking about systems and processes, right? Um, how did you find out about it? And then what made you want to have a business where you poked around inside of other companies?
So yeah, I guess the first one, what got me into it? So yeah, I had a business in my 20s, right? So I
Mm,
started, it was a baseball business. I would
mhm,
rent college facilities. I'd had an email list and I'd fill it up with kids. And that's how I did the first 10 years. That's how I spent my 20s. So it was great. COVID hit, kind of blew it
mm.
up. No one wanted to send their kids to camp. So started over. I had a little entrepreneurial and business feel. And I had a friend, really good friend, really genius, brilliant guy. And he ran a digital marketing company. I said, well, hey, let me hop in. And the reason it worked is because he had so many problems in there. He would try to start a project and his team wouldn't do it. Or if they did, things would break in the back end and he's just complaining and it was making his life living hell. Right. So I said, all right, let me just hop in and see. Well, 3 months, went in there, worked in it, and was able to systemize it and get actual progress moving forward.
Mhm.
And so I was just like, wow, this is fun. It's a lot of fun, and finding his problems and solving it, I get gratification. And the cool part is I realized I was really good at it.
Mhm.
The point I skipped over is my last business,
Mhm.
that baseball one. I had it down to working an hour a week. So I'd get in, work an hour, pretty much
Yeah,
with my team. It was a team
yeah,
meeting, and then I'd have them do the rest. Of course, I did the stuff I wanted to do. Right. It
yeah.
wasn't just an hour. And then one thing led to another. He sent me to another person who sent me to another. And I kind of just got introed. And as I would solve problems, the hardest part was getting the teams aligned to the
Hmm.
problem. I could see it, spot it, say it, but they would all just kind of be out. And I was like, how can I show this? And thankfully, I had a really smart team member who was like, well, let me just visualize this way. And I'd heard of flowcharts, process chart, but I was just kind of, yeah, that's a nice to have. Well, it ended up being so helpful in coordinating everyone to finding the exact problem and what was actually going on that we used it again and again and again. And I just kind of came up with my own process over time for making that all make sense and solve problems. So it was really kind of a progression. It wasn't anything
Right.
like you where you it was like process mapping 101. It was my own
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you end up with these flowcharts for the business, and like I know what these are good for, but the average person has no clue what to do with them, right? What do you recommend once a business has got this process flowchart or set of process flowcharts? They're kind of ready to franchise, they're kind of ready to improve on something if they want, right? What can they do with this?
Well, flowcharts, like that's the hardest part that I've had in like actually showing others that aren't initiated what the benefit is. The reason is I'm convinced at this point, Jason, and you kind of helped me see this. It is when you're selling, not selling, when you're trying to explain, here's a like the process. It's a solution in search of a problem, right? It's like it solves so darn much, and then it's like, well, what problem do you have, and let me see if I can fit it in here. So the things I like about it, the analogy I use is you think of a quarterback of a team, right? You think of a general in a war. You think of an engineer building a building. What do they all have in common? They've got a visual map in front of them for their team with varying skills to coordinate the skills to execute the plan, right? And the benefit of that is if I lose a team member and bring someone on, well, if it's a Windows guy and they have that same skill, hey, here's your part in the whole plan, and here's what you have to do to make sure the windows are right. Or, hey, the building's been up in the engineering sense for 15 years. Let's look back at the original map that's been documented and see where this guy did this thing and solved this thing. So you can go in and add to it or improve it, right? So that's the power for me, the visuals. It's like solving problems and seeing problems geometrically rather than algebraically.
Okay. Once it's written down in steps, you can go in there and look and go, do I need this or can I eliminate it? Right?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so many examples of this, going back even to World War II. The Soviets were trying to figure out how to make their tanks with fewer pieces and fewer steps. And they were trying everything, underwater welding, all kinds of things, right? To make
Mhm.
it, and they would literally eliminate like hundreds of parts from this tank. And so in a regular business, there's so many steps, and a lot of this stuff is hidden. If you go to an employee and you ask them how they do what they do, they're going to tell you a story. And that's one thing. I've also noted that the president or the manager of the group or whatever has this mental movie running in their head of how things are or how things should be like. And those two things, when you do the mapping, they don't match up. Right? And so you're going to
Mm.
start to have valuable insights from that and go, well, wait a minute. Oh, I see why there's this 3-day delay between when somebody comes up with the inventory count and the supply chain reordering gets done. Why is there a 3-day delay there, right? And you've shone a flashlight on that and you can magically now solve it because
Yep.
it's in the light of day and you can see it. If you're going to sell your organization, you need to have the process maps down. Otherwise, you have nothing. I've seen so many 70-year-old business owners who created a business and have run it for 40, 50 years. The kids don't want it. And they go to a business broker and they're like, how much is this worth? And the broker gives them this very disappointing figure because all they've got is goodwill in the marketplace. And that is not good enough, right? You need something that you can plug in and people to follow. And this is why it's so value creating, right? What you're doing. So one thing I've noticed about you, Brett, is that, and this probably comes from your athletic coaching original background, you have the ability to get on Zoom meetings with team members and just sit there all day. And like
Mm.
I can do about 4 of those, and then like I start to get worn around the edges and go a little berserk or whatever, right? And you could
Mm.
just sit there from like you could do it from 10 in the morning till 10 at night and be as relaxed as you were at the beginning. What
Yeah.
is going on there? Why, do you think you spend too much time in these meetings? What are you trying to accomplish with your
Mm.
team members? Talk to us a little bit about this whole process.
Yeah, no, this is why I appreciate you, Jason, because you observe and notice things like this that others may not. And it's two things. There's the how. I put a lot of that on my background in counseling. So, some may not know I do from Hopkins is where I did my master's in psych and counseling. And I've always been that way. I like listening, right? And the reason I like listening and why I do this and why it's so effective when I'm in that, it's because the good stuff comes out when you really sit and stew on it, right? Someone could tell you something and they give you the top end picture, and then someone else says something and it's, well, a little contradictory, and then someone else says it again. And all of a sudden, you just kind of soak into that deep, not wide area and really, really hear what's right or wrong about a situation. Yeah, I think that's important because a lot of leaders, like the ones that you work with and solve problems for and help the C suite, you don't always know what's going on at that level of depth. They don't want to go to that level. And so I even think team members I notice, they'll take advantage of that. They'll just kind of give you what you want to know, the check the box, good enough. And then the root problems that are really causing the fires that are annoying, you don't ever get to, right? So to me, it takes that time. And by doing it, it actually saves you so much time long term by just getting in. So that's why I do it and how I do it to bring the yin and the yang all around.
Right. Okay. That makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. And if you're a new president, even if you've been a president before, I see this a lot. They get a new role in a new company. They didn't come up through the ranks, and now they're in this president role, 15 to 500 person company, and they've got an executive team. They inherited them. They
Mhm.
they don't know these people. And these people have hidden agendas, which you would be able to figure out sitting down and talking to them, right? These
Mhm.
executive team members. You know, they've got pissing matches, they've got frustrations with vendors, and this stuff is like hurting the organization. And that new president has no clue this stuff is going on. I just mentioned two things. There's a lot more possibilities. They may be
Yeah.
jealous of you, right?
Yeah.
What
Yep.
are they doing, right? And can we uncover that? What if you were to know as the president this information, or at least some of it, the value there in being able to uncover this stuff. So you
Mhm.
internally with your own team are able to do these things and then straighten everybody out. How important is company culture to you? What does that mean, organizational culture to
Yeah.
you? And on these meetings with team members, how much are you trying to kind of herd them back in line, or do you let them do what they want to do?
I mean, one, on the culture side, it is critical. Everyone knows that. You got to have a winning culture, and bad culture will really tank you. The
Mm,
risk of having a bad culture is almost worse than just having an average, or a good culture, because people don't believe, so they're not trying, they're not giving the extra ounces of energy it needs every day to actually get you to the vision that the president needs to get to for them to have success.
mm,
So yeah, it's critical, but I'm one of those believers. I don't think you can actually force a culture. I think
mhm,
you kind of have to know the starting place,
mm.
right? So it's the same as you plant a liver, in someone's body. Like what
Okay,
is their blood type? What are
interesting.
the feel first? You got to know so you can account for that,
Mm,
and then let it take and nurture it, right? So I think that's what's important for leaders to know. You can't force it. You see people get in and just bang the hammer and
mhm.
that's tough to do. It really
Hmm.
is.
Interesting. You just made me think of like hockey teams, like NHL hockey teams who get a new coach, and that new coach
Yeah,
is a harsh type guy or whatever, and he wants to put his stamp on the team.
it can
Interesting.
work.
And
It
yeah,
can
it
work.
can work, and then sometimes it just implodes and the players hate you and they tank to try and get you fired. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and
Huh.
that's it. And any team, it's like if you
Mhm.
go that hard line, well, they gotta believe in you. They have to
Right.
know that it's improving and helping them. And yeah, I think that's what can be missed. In fact, I had a coach like that. I played
Mm.
baseball. Good intentions, we all wanted the same thing,
Yeah.
but ultimately the route there, you just can't
Mm.
you can't force it. It becomes a death march more than a
Yeah.
victory. So
That
yeah.
liver transplant idea is very interesting to me because I hadn't really been thinking in the same way about a new president coming into an existing organization, strongly trying to put their culture spin on things without assessing the lay of the land first and just
It
going,
is.
I'm the
Well,
new boss.
and to the original point of process mapping, that is
Yeah.
the point. If you're going to do surgery, where does the liver need to
Hmm.
go?
Right. Right.
Yeah, and thankfully you didn't say the liver transplant like like, oh hey, I got to stop drinking. That's a good sign that that wasn't the direction.
No, no. Well, you know me, I quit drinking
Ah,
in
yeah,
2012, right? So it's been a
true.
while. I see the pug walked into the room. What's the dog's name?
Yeah, so I got a little pug. Her name is Bailey. She's 11, getting up there in age, but she just loves being pet, loved and attention. So I think she heard us and wanted to be a
Yeah,
part.
exactly.
And
What
yeah.
what is the one thing that you wish new presidents would think about, focus on, take a moment to consider?
Honestly, I think we just covered it. The fact that so many come with their own agenda and just say, well, this is what we're going to do. This is why I got hired. This is why they believe in me. We're going to do it. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's just hard if you don't assess the lay of the land first. It's the same as a general on the battlefield, which again, I know you know very well. You've read many more history war books than I. It's one thing to have a battle plan. And then it's another to actually see the topography and see what the
Hmm.
enemy's doing. It's the old art of war is nothing's effective. Strength may not be a strength if it's not a weakness. If there's a bigger weakness on the other side, you can exploit. So I think that going in with an open mind and giving yourself the extension of a timeline
Hmm.
that by slowing down, you might actually speed up. And again, to bring it back to the topic in that realm,
Yeah.
that is also it. If you can align, like Jason, I've seen miracles, man, in teams where in departments, you go in and in 90 days, right? Like everyone's like, well, quarter, yeah, but just let's take them, let's slow it down, let's lay it all out. And once everyone's aligned, now everyone knows what to do and you get all that productivity, all that,
Hmm.
all that fire. So
Makes sense. My guest has been Brett Linnenkohl, president of Evergreen Strategic Systems. I'll have links to his social media and company website in the description below. Our discussion is brought to you by Internal Business Intelligence, the secret weapon for new presidents who want to increase the size of their year-end bonus. If you're looking for a single source of truth, if you have to go away and find your CFO and get a report to help you make a decision, and that takes a while. If you don't know why your top executive team might not fully be on board with your plans, you need Internal Business Intelligence by Cold Star Tech. There'll be a link to that and more about that in the description below. Thanks for listening, and Brett, appreciate you being here.
Thanks again, Jason. Really appreciate you.